something. I've been down the darkest roads and up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the sky.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mary's book launch of Find Your Wellbeing, The Path to Happiness, Clarity, and Peace by the amazing Mary Magnus. So we have people from all over Australia this afternoon to come here to support and congratulate Mary. So thank you for coming on here this Sunday and showing your beautiful support. So I'm Jessica Ritchie, and I will be your MC or host for this special event. So today we've got an epic lineup of information that Mary has put together for us, and some really amazing giveaways. So we would love for you to really feel like you're a part of this event, seeming that we're having to host it virtually. So please, any questions that you have, support, cheers, please pop them in the chat bar over the next 45 minutes of this event. So today is the most perfect day for us to launch Mary's book. So it is World Mental Health Day, 10th of the 10th. And so Mary's put together some special information for me to share with you. So I'm going to go through this and then welcome our beautiful author on board very soon. So October is Mental Health Month, and this is where we commit to making our mental health and well-being an absolute priority. The pandemic, lockdowns, and social distancing, travel restriction, and the constant changes we've been faced with of change is really stressful. So good mental health and well-being supports us to see challenges as small adversities that we can overcome. It enables us to have more days where we feel calm, happy, and focused. Next slide, Mary. Thank you. So the overall objective of World Mental Health Day is to raise awareness of mental health issues around the world, to mobilize efforts in support of mental health, and to encourage people to make a commitment to their mental health. And we're all doing that today by being here to support Mary and this wonderful book that she's written. So the 2021 World Happiness Report identifies that mental health is a part of our well-being that has been most significantly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting lockdowns, including a worsening of mental health in many countries worldwide. So the World Health Organization, pre-pandemic, they state of our mental health where depression was already identified as one of the leading causes of disability. And in Australia, the pre-pandemic cost of mental health or mental ill health to the Australian economy is $70 billion per year. And then on top of that, there's plus another $150 billion per year associated with diminishing health and reduced life expectancy for those living with mental ill health. So without further ado, the woman we've all been waiting for, please welcome author and psychologist, Mary Magnus.
Hi. Oh, thank you, Jess. And hello, Dixie. I'm going to introduce Dixie in a moment. Let me just get rid of this screen share. 1 second. There we go. So I can see you all here. Lovely people. Thank you. Thank you so much for a beautiful intro. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on your Sunday, of course, taking time out of your weekend. I'm so grateful for the amazing, beautiful, I've been reading them, your chat, even though I haven't replied to them all, your beautiful chat comments already coming through. I really appreciate your support so much, not just for being here, but really throughout my life too. For those of you who know me in particular, thank you. So let me just say a couple of things too, as part of welcoming you all and giving you a bit of a roundup in terms of what's happening during the next 45 minutes. Love for you, as Jess indicated, to use chat, keep connected to us, because Dixie's on board, because Dixie, the amazing Dixie Carlton from Indie Experts, supported my book development and of course Indie Experts, the publication of it as well. So she's going to be busy checking out what you're doing in chat as we go through to help you to help me, I should say, to help us to select some prize winners. And so we're of course going to give away the book today. That would be obvious. But of course, just to add to it, we're going to send some of the prizes as we go through. You might see that some people might get the book plus a little sleep book as well for a bit more of a boost on a particular topic. And I've got an amazing candle that I created in collaboration with my beautiful friend Anastasia, lovely aromatherapy candle. So some will get that. And then at the end, someone will get a book and a coaching session, which you can, of course, also give to someone. So there's no limits. I'm not into things are not transferable. You can use as you wish. Absolutely. So Dixie, do you want to say a quick hello just before we get going?
Hi Mary, it's so great to see you, and it's so exciting to see that you've reached this day and the book is amazing. So hi everyone.
Thank you, Dixie. Thanks for being here so much. Fantastic. Jess, anything you want to say before we get going? Well, I'll hand it over to you now.
Well, I'm going to share some insights that I've personally had from Mary's amazing book. And so I would like to take the opportunity to share those insights. I guess I'm a business owner, a busy mum to 2 little boys, and my husband serves and protects our community. So this book, I think, will be a bit like a Bible for me to refer to. So it's an absolute gift. And I'll just take you through a few things that I really think hit home for me. So while I'm doing that though, actually, if anyone has had the privilege of reading Mary's chapter 2, which she was giving away through her social media, on her website and through other channels, or if she personally invited you to take a read, please let us know while I'm going through my insights into the chat, your biggest takeaways or thoughts that you had on chapter 2, which is Find Your Energy Zen. So Mary, your mission is to inspire people to change their life towards more happiness, clarity, and peace. And I believe more than ever, the timing of this book just could not be better. With many of our guests here today in Victoria or Melbourne, and with Melbourne just being announced as the world's most locked down city in the world, the information you have within this book is it's extremely pertinent and relevant right now. So I think this book will certainly hold answers to those who might be requiring some hope and help today and moving forward. So in your book, you said that well-being is living actively in the moment, right here, right now, in the present. Isn't that something we need to be reminded of each and every day? So that stood out for me. And you also said well-being is not just about being healthy and avoiding illness. It is a complex combination of physical, mental, emotional, and social factors. And that is what can lead to a happy and satisfying life. a line in your book that really stood out for me was when you were talking about your own personal journey, which I really loved. And you said or shared, it was a short-term fix that I was after at this point in time in your life, not a change to my life. And that resonated with me because in this fast-paced, crazy, noisy world where many of us are juggling all these different roles, it is a quick fix that we're after. And, you know, we want these band-aid solutions, but then, you know, the wheels fall off and it ends up falling apart. Your book talks about really simple, scientific-based solutions from your own personal journey and having coached hundreds and thousands of clients over the last 30 years. And so I think that's what makes it extremely powerful. So, you know, you felt all of this yourself too. And the inspiration that you provide your readers, coupled with that practicality and vulnerability of sharing your own stories, I find to be really heartwarming and really motivating. So thank you, Mary. I love the flexibility and self-compassion that you showed yourself on your own journey, such as when you say, you know, just some minutes of meditation is better than doing nothing at all. So you're telling us that we can be kind to ourselves as well and really paving the way. And I love the reminder, it's not too late to prioritize ourselves now. So a daily reminder needed, particularly those who are carers or have children or business owners, homeschooling, absolutely anybody right now needs to realize that we can be a priority ourselves now. And you mentioned discipline for self-care and boundaries to help get into routine. And I think you might talk about this a little bit later. So I also love the don't know mind. So now I don't know about everyone else, but I'm that type of person who likes to know what's coming up, what's ahead. And a lot of that's been shaped by quite traumatic past experiences in my life, to try and mitigate that risk either for yourself or your family. And so I really loved in your third chapter of cultivating mindful clarity of how you said, yeah, the don't know mind, maybe this could be even better than I ever imagined. It doesn't have to be traumatic or me to perceive it as a negative event. So I found that incredibly powerful. And you also say one small change to your well-being can make a huge difference. And I think that's a great reminder that small things can lead to really big results. So there's so much that I loved about it, Mary. I could keep going on about it.
Thank you. Wow, it's like a beautiful synopsis there, Jess. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And when you put your heart and soul into something, you do hope that it resonates. And you know, obviously, we want to create something that's relatable to what people are experiencing right now. You know, and they are in the throes of probably the biggest uncertainty that we've ever experienced globally together, right? So it's really important from that perspective. Thank you. And I appreciate you reading it and sharing your thoughts. It's amazing.
You're most welcome. We might cross over to Dixie quickly to see if there's anything happening in the chat. Have we got any questions that are coming through, or do we need to?
Or do we have any prize winners that you can pick for a book?
Yes.
Who's going to get a book plus candle?
I would like to specify Jola Starkowski as a prize winner, because yes, I went online just before we started here on Amazon, and she has raced to be the very first person to leave a really cool review on Amazon, which is just brilliant. And I think that needs to be rewarded. So, you know, anyone needs to know that authors live and die on getting reviews. So please go and do more of that. But Yola, I hope I've said that right.
Yola, yeah.
Please, we'd love to reward you for that. Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Congratulations, Yola. That's amazing.
Well done, Yola. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dixie.
Okay. So Mary, there are a few of us that have been wondering, why have you written this book now? You possibly could have written it sooner, but why have you chosen now to release this amazing book?
I think that's a really good question. Why now? There are probably a couple of reasons that I'll share. Certainly, from my perspective, I feel really confident and competent as a psychologist, sort of coaching, supporting clients, running webinars and workshops, even blogging and podcasting, speaking at events. But really interestingly, when I did a program with Dr. Maria Serrois, she's a really well-renowned clinical psychologist based in the States, who in fact has written a beautiful review as well of the book, which I'm very grateful for. She, in her course, when I did an exercise, we were just identifying what blockers might be getting in the way from really being transformational. And one of the things that, just to cut a really long story short in terms of that activity, one of the things that suddenly I got, as you get an aha moment, Jess, when you're doing activities, I realized that it brought me back to a time very early in my professional career, probably my first human resources role. I remember completing a really exciting project where we implemented 12-hour shifts, and that was a long time ago now, and that was a big radical step at improving the well-being and productivity of our staff at the time, our operators. And I wrote an article about it. My organisation encouraged me to. And I remember getting a letter from a couple of academics from my university sharing their disappointment that I saw myself as an expert on 12-hour shifts, right? Which at the time I was shocked, and especially if it's people that you admire, that they would respond that way. And I didn't really think about that it impacted me in any way, because my organisation thought it was all fantastic and it was appropriate. So did the HR monthly journal that it went into at the time. They really appreciated it too. But I realised I hadn't written anything. I'm interested, and I'm an educator, and I've always educated. Why didn't I start it earlier? So clearly I got the aha that was a blocker for me. And then that was only a couple of years ago. And then from there, it was really more about how to approach it. And it took me a little bit of time just to really understand that it actually takes a bit of work to write a manuscript. And it was only around, I think it was September, October last year, that I realized I need help. I need to get experts on board to support me. And that's why I lent, I'll talk a little bit about that a bit more in a moment, but I came across Indie Experts through LinkedIn, Anne Wilson initially, and so this is how it got written. And also I felt it was important right now too, because during the pandemic, as it began last year, and I feverishly was desperate to support clients with coaching and webinars, particularly in the wellbeing space, I felt like I couldn't really help enough people. And I know that a lot of psychologists are saying the same thing now, that it's quite challenging to, you only have so much time in the day, and what about everybody else? And the other aspect of that is, even when you deliver a program and you can make a difference with some programs and coaching, you're only ever going to touch on some key aspects. There's only so much a person can really, absorb, integrate into their life at any one time. So it is more of a positive, sustainable change that they're focused on. And so I was really excited, and I had the idea that I needed to create a more comprehensive resource. The webinars, the podcast wasn't enough. I needed to have something that not just my clients, but that lots of people could use, that could hopefully make a difference. So that's a bit of a long answer, but as you've seen, obviously reading my book, Jess, that it covers lots of different topics, and not just energy, but also mindfulness and gratitude. So it's a much more comprehensive look at what it might take, but also how you might do it in a more practical way. And that's what I'm motivated about. Being a learning and development, I like to think, an expert, or definitely experienced in that space. How do you help people not just be aware of what's important or share some interesting research and tips, but how do you help them to then take that next step you know, so they build their own self-awareness. How do they practice it in their life? How do they integrate it into their life? So that was, you know, that was the, if you like, the journey that I went on, and why I ended up writing it with the amazing woman you see on your screen, Dixie there.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's real and relatable. And, you know, as a psychologist and with your many decades of experience, you know, you too have had challenges, or people say things to you that have become these blockages. And I think sometimes, you know, there's that saying, all unfolds as it should. And I think for you, like, we're so grateful that the timing just seems to have aligned. And I think just a really perfect time for you to launch this book and to help a lot of people. It's a tangible, solid book full of goodness. So thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. I appreciate that. And look, and interestingly, because I worked so hard helping others early last year, I also ended up burning myself out quite badly, and particularly it sort of unfolded pretty badly around Christmas time last year. And I say that was a gift to me, because it was very early in the writing process anyway. But that was such a gift, because that was a reminder, right? Well, I'm not taking care. I mean, I'm human too. We're not, nobody's perfect. It's not about perfection here. We're on a journey. I've been doing lots of these things already, but I needed to understand that I had to take more breaks, that I needed to prioritize myself more. And so I consider my burnout a gift. It's not a problem. It's a great reminder. And even now, when I'm not quite 100% and over it, but I'm definitely doing really, really well. It's still when I feel the fatigue that comes on, I say thank you, because that's a nice little reminder. Hello, what are you doing to take care of yourself, right? So,
yeah. And now I think a lot of us are in that position, or have been, and possibly will be in the future. And now we've got your book on hand as a quick manual to be able to, you know, look through and apply things really quickly and to get results. So thank you. Mary, would you like to take us on a bit of a journey? I know you've got some slides prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do that, Dixie, are there any questions about it at all that anyone's wanting to sort of, or comments that are worth sharing?
Well, I'm going to come back to that. I just want to say before we move into that, it was really exciting to see the process, because we didn't start this book with the intention of writing it as a pandemic-oriented book.
Exactly.
And so the evolution of the thinking and the planning around what happened as we unfolded the process of writing this manuscript was quite extraordinary. And I love the fact that it was a really good reminder. And I think anyone who's reading the book now and at any time will be reminded mostly to do what we know, about looking after ourselves, and to honor our own needs to be the best version of ourselves we can be, as and when we need to be. And, you know, the fact that the pandemic has gone on for as long as it has, this is a book that is really profoundly arriving at the right time. But I don't think it's necessarily something that we should say is just a pandemic book. I think life in general gets so insanely out of hand that we need to remember that there will always be another crisis. There will always be something else coming along. Getting to grip with these necessities of life and living well is important, regardless of what's going on now. And it was such a great pleasure working through that journey of developing that with you, Mary. It was incredible. We've got some beautiful comments. We've got a couple of people saying, for example, Gemma, that she loves how Mary's book reminds, we're reminded that burnout and breakdown is our time for a breakthrough. And that's so important. You know, sometimes it takes us hitting a wall of some description to realize that we actually have to stop and refresh. And this book is a beautiful example of that. Thank you, Gemma. I can't see who's written this, but an invaluable resource for these challenging times. Thank you. I can't see who wrote that, sorry. And yes, so there's some great comments coming in. Obviously, some of the people on the call today have read the book already, or read a chapter, an advanced chapter of it. But if you haven't read it yet, please go on Amazon and grab yourself a copy while it's on Kindle, while it's available, and just plow into it, because it's available now today. You can have it on your Kindle or on your iPad instantly, even before this is finished today. So go and grab a copy.
Dixie, my marketing machine as well. Thank you. Do you have a winner for us? Is there a comment that you'd like to give? Perhaps who's going to get the book plus the sleep book? We'll give this time. Do you have one?
Let's give that to Gemma.
Okay. Done.
Gemma had such a great, she's actually written a lot of comments. She's very involved and very.
There's a few people there watching with Gemma. Yes. I know there's a whole family watching together. So there's a couple of books coming. That'll be great. Yes. Perfect.
And the other one, Jane Creasy,
yes,
has made some changes in her life already. She said, from reading Mary's book, I now take regular 5-minute breaks throughout my day. It has made a huge difference to my energy levels and concentration. Thanks, Mary. So I think Jane definitely needs a prize as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so
Jane
much.
And Gemma.
Yeah, we'll make sure we look after them. Make a note for me so I don't forget. That's amazing.
All good.
Thank you. And thanks. Yes, I will definitely just share some slides now as well. I think there was a one question in terms of how long have I been working. I think I've answered that now. That came via Instagram. Certainly a bit of a slow process from October on, but because of my burnout with lots of breaks. So it's definitely been a year in the making. And that's not unusual, is it anyway, Dixie? With some books they can take a while, right, to refine as well.
It's like having a baby. You never know if it's going to just go that little bit over time or whether it's actually going to come early. It'll come when it's ready, and it'll
Fantastic.
Be the right book or the right baby when it turns up for the author.
Exactly. So I'm just going to share my screen right now. Just bear with me. Here we go. I'm going to take you through a couple of slides as well now. Just to give you, we're going into the tip portion of the session or the launch event today, and this is just really just a slide just showing what's in the book for those that haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And just to let you know, the tips I'm going to cover off briefly will come from Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, which Jess has kindly already made some beautiful comments about. I'm not sure I need to say a lot, Jess, but I know I will. I have got a few good things to do, but thank you.
We're hanging for your insight, Mary.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Amazing. And so really amazing timing. I got an email yesterday with the State of the Mind report. And so I just wanted to share a couple of little key slides about that, because there's some really interesting, some sad, but also some positive information that I'm going to share. It's not going to all be negative here. Definitely in their report, they're seeing 4 in 5 Australians experiencing poor mental health in the last 12 months. And particularly much higher levels of psychological distress they're showing in their report as compared to the broader population amongst women, First Nations peoples, and the LGBTQI plus community as well, for many reasons. So it's a great report to read if you're interested in that. And clearly, as those of us that have been in lockdown states that are watching, those and also parents and have had to do remote learning with their children, no doubt this next stat is no surprise that 41% of parents believe the pandemic has had a negative impact on the mental well-being of their children as well. And so when that happens, as we know, as a parent, I've had that experience myself in terms of, my children not doing, potentially well as well. So it affects you too. You don't escape from that as well. So when they're affected, as we know, you're affected often too. Some other interesting stats, just wanted to share that 89% of the people that they surveyed believe that mental health is important as physical health, which is amazing to see that there's much more recognition of its value, and that we need to prioritise it. And with 34% having used a mental health professional or at least gone to their general practitioner, which is amazing. 28% using self-directed learning. So they might be doing, reading a book, they might be listening to a podcast, perhaps going to workshops or webinars, or even reading articles as part of, their self-directed learning. And 23% using family or friends who've got some knowledge in the mental health area. And connection's really important here, and supporting each other is a key strategy as well that we need to think about. And we often encourage people to reach out and check in with people, and there's a reason we do that, in case those that need it are not reaching out as they should. And just some final sort of bits of information from this report that I thought you would appreciate, just knowing that 4 out of 5 adults, I found, took an active step to improve their mental health. So they're trying to do something, and I think that is amazing. You want to keep encouraging that going forward. And many of them, those that have taken those steps, they are experiencing positive health benefits too, feeling more relaxed and calm, improved sleep, improved resilience to cope with challenges as well, just in their everyday life as well. So we know it can make a difference. Small things can make a difference. And it's just amazing that even though we're all going through a challenging time, that people are trying and people are doing things to really improve their situation, improve their mental health and well-being. Okay, so I want to just share with you a couple of key tips today, so as part of rounding out this event, to give you some takeouts if you haven't looked at the book yet or any of the chapters. What are some of the things that might be useful? So from the chapter 2, Find Your Energy Zen, on the right-hand side of the slide is a lovely infographic that I've created, which covers essential factors, self-care things to be aware of, as well as the emotions that are important to cultivate as well, in terms of, really managing your energy in a way that supports your well-being. So of course, I'm not going to cover everything. We don't have time during this session to do that, but I do want to reinforce a couple of key essential factors. Sleep, those that have participated in coaching or in webinars that I've run, I always talk about sleep as a foundation, and people think, well, what's that got to do with your psychological training and tips, Mary? But sleep is a foundation of our well-being. And so thinking about your sleep rituals and habits, and we know, for example, keeping to a good sleep schedule where you go to sleep the same time, wake up the same time, is one way to enhance the quality of your sleep, as well as, of course, many others. And those that get the sleep book will see a few more tips there too. And we've got some information, of course, in the book about it. Cardio and strength training, just to reduce stress. Exercise is absolutely important. So it should always be encouraged as part of looking after your energy, because energy is something that you have control over in terms of cultivating your well-being. Taking a daily walk just to move, to renew. So separate to doing your exercise, but just getting out and moving your body, unwinding is so important. Really paying attention to really what you're eating. Good quality nutrition. Doesn't have to be perfect all the time, but really working towards that. And we know that affects our mood and how you feel. And I think I've got Nicole here from the Create Wellbeing group, who's an amazing nutritionist, and on a couple of the podcast episodes that I've run with her, I know that she's will reinforce how critical actually it is for our mood, the diet that we really consume, what we're focused on nutrition wise, can make a difference to our mood, our inflammation, and just generally our well-being, and is really worth some attention as well. And one of my favorites it's already been brought up, but that brief, regular, quality breaks. I know it came up in chat, and that for me has been a really critical thing that I implement. And the research will say a minimum of every 2 hours you should be breaking up your day to step away from your desk, if you're at your desk, for example, and just doing something that renews your energy. And that would be not on your phone. It would be perhaps, for example, doing a meditation, maybe some breathing exercise, perhaps just stretching your legs, doing just some general stretches as well, getting outside and just breathing some fresh air, moving away from the space that you're in. So just whatever renews your energy. It might even be listening to music is another lovely one that I enjoy too. It doesn't have to be long, it can be brief, but a regular practice of breaks can make a massive difference. And in terms of your mindful clarity, so that's an important chapter, and one chapter that I wrote because it's been important to me. And some of the tips that I have in this chapter and strategies have been key to how I have found my own calm and clarity. And right now, and any time that you're dealing perhaps not as well as you would like with uncertainty and change, or feeling stressed, then this is a really important chapter to also consider as you navigate sort of the book and going through that. So I talk about mindfulness practices, the importance of strengthening your emotional control. And we can do that. It doesn't feel like it very often when, for many people will report, it just feels like their emotions are just have a mind of their own and they're just have no control over their frustrations or disappointments and how they're behaving right now, in particular during this time. But also increasing our self-awareness is part of what mindful clarity can do, and becoming more aware of your inner critic. So in the book, in that infographic you see on your screen, I take you through how to set your intention around that, how to embrace uncertainty, how to welcome all your emotions and move towards peace and joy. And I'm going to just take you through some aspects of that right now. And so to just get us all on the same page about, when I talk about mindful clarity or mindfulness, I'm talking about the awareness arises when we're paying attention on purpose. We're in the present moment and we're doing that non-judgmentally, not, okay, I'm feeling very frustrated and I'm so annoyed at myself. Why does this still keep happening? That's not non-judgmentally. So being able to be with whatever you're feeling right now. And so when we do that, when we have a practice that cultivates that, and again, it doesn't have to be something that you do, all day, every day, but when we have those micro moments of mindfulness practices, then we can build a mindful clarity. And so I just want to say that if you don't feel like that's you right now, that's normal. It's normal to feel distracted. And the research will say around 47% of the time, we're not actually paying attention to what's going on around us. But there's enough research we know that now tells us that we can cultivate that. It's like a muscle, just like when you're doing a workout and developing your muscles physically, you can do that in your brain as well. So you can develop much more the areas of your brain, in particular the executive functions of your brain that play a big part in really helping you control the emotions, make great decisions on purpose as well, and help you process what's going on as well when you're not feeling as joyful perhaps, or feeling very stressed as well. So let's just start with, how do you have less mind wandering and more clarity? I think it's just starting with your what. So as you're listening right now, and you'll see that I take you through a much more detailed process in the book, but what do you desire to be happening? And so I always love to sort of explain that and get you to think about how would your life or the situation you're in right now be improved, be better, be different? Do you want to feel more calmer? And what would that feel like? How would you notice that? Would you notice that because then you would approach your day and the challenges much more flexibly and easier? Or if you want to be more focused, would you find your tasks less overwhelming? So I really take you through into getting a really clear picture of what that intention is. And then as part of, embracing that uncertainty, encouraging you to think about in this moment, in particular if things are not going well for you right now, what might be the emotions that are coming up for you? So on this slide, it's an emotions wheel. It's possible for us to pick lots of emotions all at once as well. We may have some positive emotions that we're feeling, along with perhaps what we might call more negative or challenging emotions that we're feeling at the same time. So it's not just about the one emotion. So for me, for example, with this book launch, I felt definitely a lot of joy. I guess the whole yellow section, serenity and ecstasy, as part of looking forward to it. But let me tell you too, there were times where I felt terrified and a little bit fearful and apprehensive as well. And that is normal to have both. But there's such a power in identifying your emotions and labeling them, being specific and being able to sit with them, to really use this as a strategy in itself to help process them as well. And if you feel, of course, that you do that and you need to do more, we'll talk about what some of those steps are. But for some people, just doing this can be enough to actually make a significant difference to how they feel. And particularly if they're looking to feel more calm, to feel much more peaceful, for example, it might be really helpful as well. So after you identify what they are, just try and think about and reflect on what is it that, what impact is it having to have these emotions for you? Is it impacting your relationship? Is it impacting how you get your tasks done? Are you feeling more short-tempered, for example? So thinking about that is, and the reason I get you to do that is that becomes really helpful for, as you move forward with some of these strategies, to get it's almost like a signpost, and you'll notice, wow, I'm finding I can actually get through those challenging tasks at work, and I feel like I can do them much more easily, or I feel like I'm much more calmer, just more centered most of the time. Again, we're not about perfection. No one's perfect, as my family will attest to that's watching today. I'm certainly not, but you much more awareness of it, and perhaps the extent of how you might feel those things may be tempered back. And then finally, and I know that Jess mentioned this earlier, that self-compassion is really important. So I encourage you as part of this process to say things to yourself that help calm you, calm your energy, your mind. So I've given some examples there, but obviously there's lots more that you can obviously pick up in the book as well. It makes sense that I feel worried right now. And this is like sort of internal self-talk. Anything that helps for you. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be the words that you're seeing there, but it could be something else as well. I did the best I could. This too shall pass, for example, is another one as well. I'm going to stop in a moment and just check and see if there's any questions, but let me just keep going. Just one more slide first. And of course, how do you move towards peace and joy? There's a few strategies that I share in this chapter, and I'm just going to pick up a few of them here right now. Just excuse me. I think certainly noticing the details of everyday actions is a great example of what I call mindful living. And you can cultivate that. You don't have to be mindfully aware of everything you do, but you can choose things that you try and do more mindfully. And when we do that, we stop the mind wandering, and we start to strengthen those areas of our brain that support us to really deal with uncertainty and deal with those strong emotions. So taking a mindful walk, paying attention to what sounds, you're hearing is another example of that. Breath counting is a beautiful example of that too. Breathing in, counting, breathing in and breathing out and counting 1, for instance, to yourself. Breathing in again and counting 2. Just following your breath and counting to kind of move your thoughts away from rumination into really to the present moment and calm your mind down. I'm just going to stop here just for a second. I'm just going to stop my screen just for a moment. Stop share. Are there any questions that have come up at all? I'm just going to check in chat that anybody has right now.
There's been some great feedback there, Mary.
How are we going with time? Because we're just near the end of it now, aren't we? Any questions? I'll get Dixie to pick the best one for a prize, the final prize in a moment. But is there one, Jess, that you would pick up that I could answer?
There's one here from Jane that's just come through. So Jane has said, Mary, if someone is particularly time poor at the moment and feeling particularly overwhelmed, what is the top tip that you would recommend to start feeling better?
So maybe start with something simple like incorporating regular breaks in your day. And when you have a break, perhaps choose a breathing exercise that might calm you down a lot more. That might be just the breath counting or some deep breathing, and try and maybe set notifications on your phone so that you do that perhaps every hour in particular. So taking regular breaks, definitely. And of course, if you're, just like a doctor would say, if your symptoms persist, go and get some support. And there's certainly these strategies are the same. If you're finding you're trying to implement lots of things and you don't feel great, see a health professional, see your GP, have a chat, and make sure that you can get the support you need as well. So I know we're nearly running out of time, and I think I've lost Dixie, but that's okay. She'll pick a winner, and I'm going to let people know who that winner is for that final one. I'll message everyone out. I don't know if she's got, can you see a note from her at all?
I can't see anything that's come.
Not yet. We'll come back to her. Now, I just want to, I know that our time is nearly up, and if I can just take a moment just to do some acknowledgements, Jess, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So I just want to just end today. Thank you first of all, for all the amazing people who have joined, really taken time out of your Sunday to be with me. Thank you so much, Jess, for hosting today. It means the world to me. You did an amazing job. And Dixie, probably lost you due to amazing I'll say inverted commas, internet issues, I know. So don't worry, we'll sort out the last prize later. But I appreciate your support, not just now, but of course over the last 12 months has been amazing. Anne-Marie, my incredible editor, Daniela for the cover design, Michelle and the rest of the Indie Experts team, Anne Wilson for connecting with me and introducing me to your company, some dear friends who I love and also were instrumental in really supporting me in my book and reading my draft, Yola, Dina, Jane, I know who are here today. I really appreciate your love and also your valuable feedback in particular. My gorgeous cousins, Vula Jakubicki is here, Mina Kondos as well, gorgeous friends, Kimberly Sargent, Anastasia Cordes as well, for reminding me that I do have something valuable to share, for your love and support, Jenny Lou for writing my foreword, to my mum and dad, thank you for your love and support. I know life's not been easy for you, both it's been challenging, but your example, your unconditional love of what keeps me grounded and grateful always. I want to thank, I need to breathe too, my husband Michael for always being encouraging with all of my endeavours and passion. You've always supported me, loved me and helped me to achieve my goals and dreams. The notes and jokes that you put on my book draft made me smile and laugh, as well as being really, really helpful. They kept me going forward. Thank you so much. Lots of appreciation goes to my boys, Chris and Corey, for their love and support and giving me permission to share some of our family stories. My big boy Corey's, thank you for joining me from Broome in WA. And Chris, thank you for reminding me as the pressure of launch week took hold. Mum, you said, just meditate and be in the moment, Mum. It will be okay. That's it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I feel really emotional because it's really special to me, but more importantly, you're all special to me. So thank you all so much. I just want to bring my boy, my husband Michael and Chris around to say, I don't know if everyone can see them. Can you come in pictures? Can you see them? Duck your head in, Chris. To say cheers, everyone. Hi, Dixie.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, there's Dixie's got a drink. Dixie, do you have a winner for us too? Do you want to unmute before we close off?
Yes, sorry about that. I dropped out for some stupid reason. I just got kicked out. I want to also nominate Nicole McAuliffe.
Yes, thank you.
And did you want one or two?
So just the one for the coaching and the book. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dixie, for being here as well and helping us. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone. I'm having a champagne now. And I wish you all a beautiful rest of Sunday. Thank you so again for those of you that have already bought my my book, from pre-order and even today. Yola, love you so much for writing a review. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on my book. Bye. Bye, everyone. I'm just going to hang in just to say we'll just end now. Let me just stop recording.